4 Archangel of Thune, not messing around, wants to Archangel people. And then, of course, the Planeswalker package of Domri and Xenagos. He has Elspeth, Sun's Champion, and 4 Voice of Resurgence, kind of tie it all together.
Temple of Plenty is where Jamie is going to begin. You saw Duke just play an island before passing the turn back. One thing that Reid does have this week in his 2 main deck domestications, which are quite good against Archangel of Thune.
They are.
And then he has 2 more in his sideboard. He's going to play a Frostburn Weird to get things started. Syed does draw a copy of Archangel of Thune this turn. He will play a Temple of Plenty and do a little scry action here. We'll see if he has maybe an Elvish Mystic. He does not.
So these mid-range Naya decks, they have been slowly creeping back into prominence, I think. A couple weeks ago, I went to GP Chicago along with Brian Brown-Duin, Todd Anderson, Brad Nelson.
Yep.
Those 3 chose to play Naya mid-range in that tournament. Yep. They couldn't convince me, but they were very excited about that deck, and they had a pretty good finish as a group overall, but they had a very poor record across the tournament between the 3 of them against Mono Blue. That was the one kind of chink in their armor. And here we see Jamie Syed facing down the enemy.
Reid's going to take a look here at Boros Reckoner and wants to make sure he knows exactly what that does. And what that is, Reid, is a difficult card to get through right now.
Yes, it is not a card that you can profitably attack into with Frostburn Weirds.
So he will have to get a little bit creative to work his way through the Reckoner. But this seems like the kind of deck, I mean, Mono Blue is just really good at just cutting up mid-range decks. No matter what variety. If it's Jund monsters, if it's green red monsters, if it's Naya mid-range, bans, what have you. It has always just been good against these strategies.
Yeah, for sure. Mid-range decks in this format in particular, a lot of them are green, of course. So they're decks that turn on your Tidebinder Mage, or rather make Tidebinder Mage more than the bear it was born to be.
Yep.
And a lot of them don't have good blockers for flyers. So, of course, the kind of the air package of Cloudfin Raptor, Night Veil Spectre, those tend to be able to go over top.
Please report to the stage.
And then a lot of mid-range decks struggle to deal with Master of Waves. So it's kind of the trifecta there.
Yeah. No blocks here from Jamie. Just going to take the damage. Reid now going to follow up with a Master of Waves. Indeed, it shall appear. It'll be for 5. So a whole bunch of elementals are going to come into play now.
This particular list, we see 4 Domri Raid, 3 Mizium Mortars. Those are the actual only removal spells straight up. None of those can answer a Master of Waves at all. So Jamie's only way of getting Master of Waves off the table is to Monstrous a Pelucranos, I believe, unless I'm missing one.
Yeah, the big question, and why I always ask when, especially in a mid-range deck, plays against Master of Waves is, what are the outs? How do you get this thing off the table? Yep. And it looks like it is just Pelucranos that gets the job done, which is not a lot of outs.
Sure. That is the question when dealing with Master of Waves. That's basically what makes Master of Waves such a powerful card in this format.
If you don't kill it right away, it kills you.
Kind of the Baneslayer Angel of this standard, I suppose.
Yeah.
Baneslayer Angel's come a long way.
It certainly has. Mizium Mortars is rather ineffective at just taking care of that Frostmourne. I mean, sure, it kills it, but that's not the best use for the card. I'm sure Jamie would like to use it another way.
Yeah, of course, if Jamie could hold out for just 2 more turns and had untapped mana sources, he could overload that Mizium Mortars, which doesn't exactly get the Master Waves off the table, but it answers it just the same. But that's at least 2 turns away, and Reid is not going to give him that kind of time with this stack of elementals sitting in play.
Yeah, the question is, what else does Reid have in his hand? I'm not sure he needs much else to get the job done here. But, you know, if there's another follow-up Master Waves, maybe a Thassa to push some damage through, he can close this one out in 1 or 2 turns. Looks like he's going to fire at Mutavault, which will be a 3/3 due to Master. And now everybody's going to come into the red zone, it looks like. At least potentially. And now here does come everyone. So. And Jamie says, I'm good, you win. Yep. And Reid Duke is going to win game number 1 here over Jamie Syed. Mono Blue Devotion, I think predictably up a game here over Naya midrange.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm taking a look now at Jamie's sideboard to see what he can do to kind of shore this matchup up. Mistcutter Hydra is the most prominent card there. There's 3 of those. That is definitely coming in. Other than that, he brings in 2 Banishing Light as an answer to Master of Waves.
Okay.
And the others, I'm not so sure about. He has access, in addition to those cards, he has 1 Chandra Pyromaster, 2 Xenagos the Reveler. I don't see much call for either of those.
No, those aren't impressive.
And then 2 Stormbreath Dragon. Again, this is not the matchup for that. 2 Tristani Selesnia's Voice, and 3 Alive and Well. Yep. Now, those I could maybe see an argument for. I don't love it. But this may be a matchup where you actually just need to buy time. And those cards certainly do that.
Well, I believe that Reid is probably the aggressor in this matchup. I don't think he can play. Well, he can play the control role. I think he's better suited to play the control on the play as opposed to the draw, but when he's on the play, he'd probably just rather be the aggressor. So in his sideboard here, he has 4 Gainsay, 3 Dissolve, 2 Negate, 3 Jace Architect of Thought, 2 more copies of Domestication, and a Rapid Hybridization. What actually makes this matchup, I think, really tough for Jamie is that Reid has 4 Domestication throughout his 75. That seems like a huge problem. Now, Reid didn't see a ton of cards in the deck that he's playing against, but he did see a Boros Reckoner, and that alone might just be worth having Domestication for.
Yeah, it may be. Yeah, given what Reid saw, he probably puts him on a radically different deck, actually.
Okay.
He basically saw, what, Mizzium Mortars and Boros Reckoner?
Yeah, he did see some green-white lands.
Sure, yeah, I
Might
mean,
be a bit of a tip
yeah,
off.
he saw the Naya mana base and then the cards Mizzium Mortar and Boros Reckoner.
Yeah.
I think if I'm Reid, I'm putting Jamie on like a Brave Naya list
Okay.
or some kind of aggressive deck.
Okay.
With a very, very poor draw. So
Sure.
maybe that's kind of suspicious. But yeah, I could see Reid thinking that that Domestication is actually going to be even better than it is. Against these kind of bigger decks, Domestication, for example, against Jund monsters or just green-red monsters, Domestication is not really that good.
Sure.
Actually, it's straight terrible in those matchups. It gets Course with Prefix, that's pretty much it. So this particular list, because it has Archangel of Thune and Boros Reckoner and Voice of Resurgence, actually kind of the spice that Jamie has added makes it uniquely way more vulnerable to Domestication. Reid doesn't necessarily know that, but based on what he's seen, I think he's definitely going to be excited about those Domestications.
Yeah, if we play a longer game too here, we'll see what ends up happening. But Domestication is the best card, I think, in his sideboard in this matchup. Rapid Hybridization is certainly nice, and we could see some number of Dissolves come in. I don't think Dissolve is great here. I think it's very situation dependent on how the course of the game goes, but it could be quite good, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Reid more than
Yeah, I think that's mostly just a question of how much Reid has to take out.
These players are going to finish sideboarding up here, but while we do wait, we will take a look at our Season 3 schedule here for the Open Series as we are in Season 3. We began things in Las Vegas, Portland last weekend, which you and I were at. We're, of course, here in Worcester right now. Baltimore 2 weeks from now, M15's debut, along with our Modern Premier IQs. Are you there?
I believe so.
Okay.
I'll have to double check that. I think
will
I
see
am.
you there, along with Osip Levitovich and everybody else in the Baltimore area. I imagine a lot of the players that are here are actually going to come down there in 2 weeks from now. We'll take a look at the next page. We have Kansas City, Dallas, Syracuse, and Washington, D.C. Of the 4, I'm actually the most excited about Syracuse because I've never been there before.
Yeah, neither have I.
Yeah, and it's actually there are a lot of Magic tournaments held there. There's no Grand Prix Syracuse or anything, so
Yeah.
I'm actually excited to go there.
Also, you don't go through Syracuse on the way to many places, it doesn't
Correct.
seem like.
Yeah.
Or at least I haven't, anyway.
Yeah, I haven't either. I've driven through New York before, so I'm excited to do that show. I'm of course excited to do DC, where Jerry Thompson will be making his debut in the
yeah.
booth. I'll try to keep him under control.
Yeah, you're going to have to try.
I use try for a reason.
He stole my shoes in Portland.
Good.
It's a true story.
Good. He did do it. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Wow. You get him back yet?
I do.
Very nice. Good for
I'm
you.
wearing them right now.
Good
actually.
for you. I'm glad. Jerry,
Yeah.
See, Jerry's a good guy. Gave you a shoe back.
Right.
I'll take a look at the next page here. As far as events, this is the last one. Somerset, our invitational. I know you'll be there.
Oh, I'll be there.
Patrick Sullivan, Matthias Hunt, and myself, we're going to crown a champion. We're going to get a new player token. We're, of course, going to punch 2 tickets to the Players' Championship. Start Season 4 as well at that event. So this season, it feels shorter than the previous couple. But before you know it, we're going to be in Somerset covering that tournament,
Yeah.
which is frightening.
That is going to be an exciting tournament for
Yes.
sure. Somerset last year, by far the biggest tournament that Star City, biggest open tournament on the
Yeah.
Open Series that the Star City has ever ran.
Yeah.
There were, I believe, over 1,000 players.
For
in
the Standard Open,
Open,
there were over 1,000 players. Yeah. It was ridiculous, and it was a lot of fun. And I remember Huey losing in the finals to Jund.
Yep.
I can't remember who the Jund pilot was, unfortunately.
I feel like I should remember that too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I do not.
But I remember Huey lost in the finals when Huey was playing the mono green Colonial Hydra deck.
Yep. This was M14's debut, I believe. This is the first time anyone had really shown off Garrett Caller of Beasts.
Yes, that too. That was a sweet deck. As we are underway in game number 2 here, Duke without a 2-drop yet again. But for Jamie, I think this is the most important thing that can happen. His last game, he didn't have mana acceleration, but this game he does. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, and as I was saying, Reid Duke, I think, probably put Jamie on more like a Soldier of the Pantheon deck than a Courser or than a Sylvan Caryatid deck. So the cat's out of the bag now, of course.
His start did feel very Brave Naya-esque
Yeah.
last game. As you mentioned, it felt like a bad Brave Naya draw, but it did feel Brave Naya-esque. Here's another copy of Sylvan Caryatid, and now a Voice of Resurgence. So Jamie is definitely mid-rangey, and Reid's draw, we'll see how it lines up against what Jamie is doing this game.
And there's Voice of Resurgence. That is one of the juiciest domestication targets in the format.
Yes.
when I was playing green-white, even though I loved the card against, I loved Voice of Resurgence against everything but Domestication, I still had to board them out against Mono Blue because the game just ended if Domestication ever took one.
Yeah. I imagine that being the case. Here is a Cloudfin Raptor, and Duke just has to pass the turn back. No third land here for Reid. Syed will draw a card.
And can potentially slam an Elspeth here.
That is pretty good. That's a turn 4 Elspeth, mind you. So the Sun's Champion has shown up to the party, and I imagine Soldier tokens are going to be coming now as well, as the elevator does tick up to 5.
It's a pretty powerful opening.
This is a really good draw, much different than the last game. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's a world of difference that Sylvan Caryatid makes.
Yeah. The ramp is just really, really, really important.
And Reid Duke's still looking to get on board. Finds a third land, so that's going to get him a little bit closer here.
Yeah, Nightfall Spectre will come in, and we'll evolve the Cloudfin Raptor up to a 1-2. He can probably get in some beats going in the air and start to work away at Elspeth, but truthfully, Reid just might be too far behind now.
It's getting there. He has access to, what, a Cyclonic Rift, I
There's
think?
one in his main deck.
Yeah. So if that Elspeth continues to crank out tokens for more than a turn or two, then Jamie's going to have likely an insurmountable board advantage.
Looks like Jamie has a Banishing like to play, figuring out what he wants to target. Looks like he's going to take down the Nightfell Spectre, take out the Flyer, and lower the Devotion. Looks like he also has a Domri in his hands. This is a really good draw from Syed.
So he's going to be able to get the Cloudfin off the table.
Yeah, you have to imagine that's where the brawl's going to be between that and probably Voice of Resurgence. Yep. Down goes the Raptor.
And that leaves Reid with just the 1/4 blocker and, more importantly, just 2 Devotion to blue.
Yep. Elspeth will tick back up to 5, 3 soldiers. Here's an attack. We're basically throwing away a token to get through. I guess he'll just block Voice Resurgence, excuse me. Maybe he'll block a token. He'll block a token to get through 4 points of damage.
I definitely don't think he blocks Voice.
Yeah.
Like, Reid Duke would much rather have a Voice of Resurgence in play than a 9/9 Elemental.
Yeah, sure.
Or an 8/8, I suppose.
Duke will draw a card. You see a bit of a smile.
Yeah.
That's not the I'm winning smile.
That is not.
I don't think that's what that is.
That's the I'm Reid Duke smile.
Yeah, yeah.
7-1
I'm getting my teeth kicked in, but I don't really mind because I can't win every game.
Because I'm playing Magic the Gathering.
Oh, here we come. Tough guy Frostburn Weir into the red zone. Pretty easy block there from Jamie. Reid's going to follow this up with a 4th mana. Here's a Tidebinder Mage. And another Tidebinder Mage. All right.
Okay. Only one thing that can be tapped down, actually, on Jamie's board. So, okay. And yeah, the realistic way that Reid was going to get back in this game was through Master of Waves, which we saw he does have in his hand. But Jamie did some pretty good work on that last turn, clearing away Reid's creatures to leave him with some piddly Devotion. So Reid's going to spend this turn kind of redeploying. If he gets to untap and play Master, he is sort of back in it.
Yep. Here's a Courser. That'll be found via Domri's +1. So Jamie's hand right now is Tristani and 2 copies of Courser of Krufix.
So did choose to bring in Tristani.
You surprised by that? Seeing Tristani come in?
Maybe not surprised. It was kind of a question mark when I saw it.
Sure.
I'm not sure how effective Tristani was going to be at stabilizing and gaining life here because of Tidebinder Mage and the Flyers. Tristani kind of has to untap regularly in order to do its work.
I always feel like that card's underplayed.
Tristani?
Yeah, I mean, it's more of just like a metagame card, right place, right time sort of thing.
I think the big problem is the cost. Green, green, white, white is more prohibitive than it looks, especially in a Mutavault format.
Courser, Temple of Bandit comes in. Scry, top card's going to go to the bottom. Force will be the draw for Jamie next turn. Could play the other Courser right now if he'd like to off those 2 Sylvan Caryatids and the Stomping Ground. He's just going to pass the turn back, however, no attacks either. It looks like we're kind of defending Elspeth until it goes ultimate. That's what it feels like here. Duke going to take a draw. Does have to be a little bit careful, though, just because Cyclonic Rift. There is only 1 in Reid's deck, but if Reid finds one, he could change this game dramatically.
Reid has 1 Nykthos, it looks like.
Yeah, 1 Nykthos, 1 Cyclonic Rift. Here's a Master of Waves.
So, yeah, Nykthos Cyclonic Rift on this turn would probably win the game for Reid Duke, right?
7 elementals.
When you say it, it sounds like a lot of elementals. But
it is.
is
it not?
But when you look at it, it honestly doesn't feel like that many elementals on this board.
I suppose that's true.
And Jamie found an Archangel of Thune, and does he have a land in his hand? If he has a land, he is going to be able to trigger it immediately.
Yeah, and I believe he does have a land in his hand. I just don't think he's put it into play just yet. I am assuming, and he's going to back up. Yeah, because he can't. He only has 1 white mana, so he needs to tap Sylvan Caryatid to actually cast that. So untap the Stomping Ground to actually properly cast the Archangel.
Gets that straight. And
we know that Jamie, we drew a force for the turn.
Yes.
He hasn't played land yet,
Yes.
so we know it's there.
So those 1/1 soldiers about to become 2/2 soldiers, which are just as effective at 1/1 as 1/1 soldiers at trading with elemental tokens. But
That's true. Also, Jamie gains a life.
sure.
Okay.
All right.
All right, he's at 16.
Jamie climbs to 16.
Thank you. It's very important. Because everyone's getting a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. +1 to everybody. Now we're bringing out the big dice.
Yeah, I love when a board gets to this state. An Archangel of Thune causes this trouble a lot.
Yeah.
Where you just have to start doing dice maintenance.
Yep. This is also a situation where we have run out of big dice.
Yeah.
This is as many as we have, and now all of these 2/2 soldiers are coming into the red zone. I like it.
Yeah. It looks like a lot of work, but I assure you it is a ton of fun to
Yes.
keep like, and this guy's a 2/2, and this guy's a 4/5, and this guy's a 3/5.
By the way, you can't win, but I'm going to keep taking up these dice, if you don't mind. Reid going to try to figure out the best blocks right now, as he's being attacked here for 7 times 2, 14 points of damage. Not a lethal attack. He does get a free block here.
So that one was easy. Now the others are where it gets tricky.
And does he want to lose Tidebinder Mages? Does he want to trade here with tokens? I imagine he needs the Master of Ways to probably win the game, along with all the tokens. So it looks like we're going to do a little bit of blocking.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Reid's only way to win this game is Nykthos Cyclonic Rift.
I think it's the 1/2 punch, yeah.
Yep.
I think that's what he's got to do to get it done.
So Reid is likely going to be very, very apprehensive about committing any of his actual blue creatures, well, blue casting costed creatures, into this combat.
I imagine he's doing a little bit of blocking here just because he's probably scared of the ways that he could potentially lose the game. Like on this particular turn, like a card like
sure.
Goreclad Rampager
Right.
just kills him.
Yeah.
And it's hard to actually put Jamie on, okay, what cards do you actually have? Because what you're doing is unorthodox. I can put you on a range of cards, and certainly within your range to have Goreclad Rampager in your deck.
Does Reid know about the other Courser? I think he saw it from the first.
He knows about the Coursers in his hand, yeah.
Okay. That's the only card, right?
Yes, I believe. Yeah, it is, okay.
Oh,
No, there's the Mystery Tristani.
The Tristani, yeah, okay.
Second Courser is going to come down. Mistcutter Hydra's on top of the deck to basically spell doom, in addition to everything else that's out there. So the big question now for Duke is, do you have the 1/2 punch?
Yeah. And I think Reid was kind of doing the math that, I need 2 draw steps because I do not have either of the 1/2 punch.
Here's another Master of Waves.
And that, I don't think, does it.
2, 4, 6, 7, 8 is the Devotion, so 8 more Elementals will come into play. They'll all be 3/2s. But I think the problem here is Mistcutter Hydra. Now, of course, Duke does have that single blue mana available. That single blue mana represents a Rapid Hybridization. You can, of course, target your own creature to make a green creature be able to block Mistcutter Hydra.
Sure.
But one thing, if you've ever watched Reid play Magic before, is that he will make his opponent kill him. He will never concede. So even though he is pretty far behind at this point, now he's attacking with everybody. And I don't think this is lethal attack simply because of Archangel, even though I'm not positive. But Duke is getting in the red zone here. I mean, playing to win.
Yeah, that's 7 2-powered creatures and a Frostburn Weird. So
3 power. The Elementals are 3 powers because 2
right.
Masters. The other thing, too, is you have to respect the fact that if you're Jamie, of who you're playing against.
Yep.
One of, if not currently, the best player in the world.
So Reid Duke definitely gonna stay collected, look for his ways to win in this particular spot. He's not gonna win by sitting still.
That's for sure.
So turns them all sideways. And Jamie, of course, actually still has these 3 tokens hanging out down here at the bottom.
So a lot of blocks are going to take place. You see players are going to move things around, make things look a little bit easier
Now,
here.
the real question is, where were those elementals going?
Yeah. And I do imagine they're going towards Elspeth, and they are. So Elspeth's going to go down to 1. So Reid trying to whittle away at those tokens while trying to stay alive here. And Mutavault is actually Reid's last card, so he puts that into play. And that will blank the Mistcutter Hydra for right now. Yeah. Using the term blank very loosely.
And yeah, so none of that damage actually went to Jamie, so he is quickly sneaking out of one-shot range, even against a pile of elementals and 2 Master Waves.
Yeah. Temple of Triumph, the top card. Mistcutter Hydra is added to the hand. Of course, he does have a Domri along with an Elspeth to activate this turn. He can play the Temple of Triumph off the top of the deck, and that would activate Archangel not once but twice.
He could also play Tristani and then play Mistcutter Hydra, a smaller Mistcutter, but it would trigger the Tristani, and that would be another instance of life gain.
Okay. Okay.
And it looks like that's how he's going to play it.
All right, so step 1, Tristani. Step 2, Mistcutter Hydra.
Yeah, so he could only make the Mistcutter for 7 anyway. So doing it this way does not... Yeah, obviously if he could make it for 8, then that's a 1-turn clock. Reid has the Mutavault, but it forces him to use it. So I think if he had the untapped land, he would be more prone to just make it an 8-8 and swing.
Sure.
But since it's going to take 2 hits anyway to threaten lethal.
Here come all the triggers.
Yeah, I started to say...
Reid said, okay, fine, you win. You win. I can't keep up with this. I can't take it anymore with you taking up the dice.
Yeah.
You win the match, or excuse me, the game.
Yeah.
The match is certainly not over yet, and Jamie Syed is able to even things up here against Reid Duke. Naya mid-range and Mono Blue Devotion heading to game 3.
I started to say that Jamie's line there was probably cleaner, but that was definitely the wrong choice of words.
Yeah.
As soon as I looked at the board, I was like, wait a minute, this is not clean. This is not clean at all.
Yeah, this is going to take a while no matter any way we slice it. And Jamie is going to tie things up here versus Reid. We'll be heading to a third game between these 2 players in just a moment, but we will turn our attention very quickly to our Season 4 schedule now. We did just take a quick look at Season 3, which we're in right now, but Season 4 is where things are going to get really interesting because of those 8 at-large bids at the end of the year from our Invitational in Seattle. But we've also got 2 Grand Prix to cover. We'll start in St. Louis. We'll go to Atlanta after that. We'll go to Indy after that. Of course, we'll have a double Open Series weekend that weekend. We've got Indy and Edison. And we'll have our coverage in Edison, and then we'll follow up with our first of 2 Grand Prix in Orlando. I'm pretty excited about
this.
This
is very exciting. So, I don't know if you guys at home have seen the playmat for Grand Prix.
Oh, they have.
All right.
They have.
So the Grand Prix, the Grand Prix playmat is obviously it's insane.
Yeah.
It's very, very sweet. We're like I don't know if it was the first day that I worked at Star City, but it was in the first week.
Okay.
It was like day 3 that I was an employee with Star City. I got pulled into a meeting room, and we just sat there for 3 hours spitballing sweet puns to put on this playmat.
Yep.
That was the day that I decided that I'm okay with this game.
I told everybody, I work from Seattle. I work remotely, so I'm not in office. But, I see what our graphic designers are, submitting and stuff like that. And it's just like, yeah, this is just so cool.
Yeah.
Just being able to spitball ideas at them. And, I just kind of look at all this stuff, and I'm just like, yep, this is just going to be the best thing ever. And I wish I could tell everyone what we're doing right now, but I can't. If you think this is sweet, Jersey's going to be better.
Yeah.
We can't talk about that either, but it's going to be really, really exciting. Orlando is our first Grand Prix during Season 4, October 3rd through the 5th. We take a look at our second page of events here. We'll be in Worcester. We'll be back here October 18th and 19th. Minneapolis. Then we'll go to Oakland, Columbus after that. And then we will follow up with the Grand Prix in New Jersey, which I know a lot of European players are already booking travel to, which is awesome. A lot of them that I've talked to said, I'm going to go to Jersey, I'm going to go to Richmond as well, and then fly home. So I think our Legacy Open in Richmond could be something really special.
Oh, okay.
So that should be really cool. Then we'll go to Atlanta, we'll go to Portland, and then we'll finish up with Seattle, which is our Season 4 Invitational, and finish up completely for the year in Roanoke for the Players' Championship.
Yeah, a lot of seats still open for that Players' Championship.
Yes, 12, then 10, then we'll crown a whole bunch in Seattle.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be, it's going to go fast.
Yeah.
It's going to go fast. Even though it's July right now, I told Patrick this a little bit earlier, I didn't know it was July 4th yesterday until I don't know, July 2nd, when my best friend Stephen was just like, hey, you going to come out with us on July 4th? And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Is that next Monday? And he's like, no, that's Friday. I'm like, dude, I'm on an airplane. You know that.
Yeah, I had the exact same experience. I was like, oh, it's a holiday weekend? Huh.
Yeah. And my friend's like, I'm not working. And I'm just like, well, must be nice.
Right.
Because I will be in transit and working on an airplane.
Sure. No complaints, though.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I talk about Magic for a living. I'll never complain about anything.
Yep. In previous years, this is what I would have been wanting to do on a holiday weekend anyway.
Yeah, just spell singing.
Yeah, just being at the tournament, just magicking.
Yeah, who am I kidding? I'm not lighting fireworks. I am probably testing on Moto or something.
I'm throwing fire.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, in a different fashion, perhaps.
Yes.
Yeah. That much is to be sure. We are in game number 3 here between Reid Duke and Jamie Syed. Naya mid-range versus Mono Blue Devotion. Duke will be on the play as he got handily destroyed in game 2.
Yeah, that's we've seen 2 pretty lopsided games. I think.
Yes.
So Jamie had I don't want to say one of his worst draws, but I guess depending in the matchup, it was definitely one of his worst.
Yeah.
And corrected in game 2.
Yep.
And then had the Sylvan Caryatid, which is clutch, and then had the second Sylvan Caryatid, which feels less clutch, but then it enabled the turn 4 Elspeth, which was real clutch.
Yeah. The big thing here, as Duke is just going to play an island pass the turn, so no turn 1 play again. For Jamie, especially when he's on the draw, it's so important to just have mana acceleration.
Yep.
And he's going down to 18 right away, so I imagine this is an Elvish Mystic. And this is just so important to his deck. Not just in this matchup, but I feel like in basically every matchup.
Yep.
All of these mid-range decks just need to get ahead of their opponent.
And the big problem with Elvish Mystic on the draw is it walks right into that little guy.
Yeah, Tidebinder Mage is going to lock that bad boy down. So Syed's just going to play a Sacred Foundry and pass the turn back. Duke just get the opportunity to attack here for 2 if he'd like. We'll see if he has, one of the better mono blue starts, maybe a Nightveil Spectre or a Thassa on turn 3.
I saw a Domestication in his hand, so
that'll be useful.
Yeah, Jamie can't have any plays on this next turn that can't be stolen with Domestication.
Yep.
Like he's either going to play Reckoner, Courser, Voice. I saw Courser in his hand, so that's a card that I don't necessarily think Reid would mind stealing.
And every time you play against mono blue, you hope that your opponent doesn't play that on turn 3. It's like the worst feeling in the world when your opponent plays Thassa. But it does show up right now. Jamie's going to play a Courser of Krufix. It's going to take 1 to do so. Temple of Plenty is the top card of his deck. I wouldn't be surprised to see Duke just take this Domestication. Would also turn on his Thassa. So that's a really nice play if he has the 4th land.
He does actually get 2 looks for that 4th land if he doesn't already have it.
That card goes to the hand pretty quickly there for Reid.
And there's the islands. And
oh yeah.
Even if I have Master Waves here, I don't think I would play it over the Domestication.
Oh, now he gets to lick the top card of his deck. Neat. Attack you for 7, puts you down to 8 already. Jeez.
It was Reid this morning, right, that started making a bunch of pack rats.
Yes, it was.
With his Mono Blue Devotion deck.
Yes, it was. Little help from Nick, those.
Yeah, one of the perks of Nightveil Spectre is that if you get bored with your own deck, just play your opponent's.
Yeah, there are many perks to the Spectre, and that is certainly one of them. So Jamie going to look at his top card. His 4th land coming into play tapped here. Looks like he's going to maybe take 1 in just a moment. You have to play another copy of Courser of Krufix. Has to tap out to do so. And top card right now is Mysian Warriors. That might be a little bit too slow. Reid going to untap. He already knows the top card of his deck in Nightveil Spectre, so we'll see if he has any interest in keeping that or not. He's going to put that to the bottom. So now the top card here is a backup copy of Thassa, not all that exciting, and now he's going to look at an island.
Jamie is already at 7. When did that happen?
Yeah, he took a punch in the face and a Tidebinder Mage and some damage from his own lands, and it didn't take long.
No.
Truth be told.
So Jamie just dead to this Thassa, right?
Yeah, unblockable. Send it in, and Reid Duke moves on to 8-0 with Mono Blue Devotion. That means, Mr. Shrout, we have locked up our first player of the top 8.
We have. Reid Duke, among Reid's many accolades, Reid is the most successful top 8 player in Star City history. Yes, he has of his 7 Open Series top 8s, he has won 5 of them.